I'd like to call this meeting of the Sherburne County Board of Commissioners of September 7th to order. Please rise for a moment of silence and the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. I'd be looking now for an approval of the regular meeting proposed agenda.
I'll make that motion. No
Okay.
changes?
We will be changing
It's under consent.
consent, that, yes, no changes other than that.
General agenda, I'll move it.
Yes.
I'll second.
Okay, motion made by Commissioner Smeezing, seconded by Commissioner Phobie. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Moving on to our consent agenda, we will be removing item number 11 to bring back at our next board meeting. With that removal, I would be looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll move approval.
Motion made by Commissioner Phobie,
I'll second.
seconded by Commissioner Smeezing. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. That motion carries. All right. Mr. Meslet, do we have any announcements?
Thank you, Chair Danielewski, members of the commission. Just two announcements real quick. First of all, a reminder that AMC is hosting its fall policy conference next week, which is September 16th and 17th in Alexandria. Please feel free to get hold of me or Keisha if you have any questions or need help getting registered or rooms. Also, just a note that Commissioner Smeezing will not be able to attend. So Commissioner Phobie, I have you listed for general government, but somebody if one of the other four of you would pick up the environment and natural resource items as well, that would be helpful. Second is just a note, we are completing some roof work, so you'll still see some materials on the roof, and over by door B is closed, so just be careful outside, but we are using door A for employees as well as obviously public. And then just a note, you saw the floor is also being redone. The lobby was completed, but I think the rest of the work will be done today or tonight after hours. That's it.
All right, thank you. Okay, at this time, we're going to have a public hearing to consider approval of on and off sale for liquor license for Kaninsky's Grill and Bar. Diane,
Good morning, Madam Chairman,
I
Commissioners.
hope I pronounced that correctly.
Kaninsky's?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you did. So before you is the resolution to, or the RBA to approve for the public, or the approval for the public hearing has already been done. We posted it in the paper on the 21st of August. And so this is the public hearing for the new owners, that they're selling it to Barbara Keenan. And the closing is set for October 1st. And we've heard back from Palmer Township. There's no comments that they've had. They have passed the approval on that. And so now we're doing the public hearing as required.
All right, any further questions for Diane? All right, if not, then I will open this public hearing. Anybody wish to speak to the board on this liquor license? Second call for anybody wishing to address the board in the public hearing. All right, final call. Seeing no one, we will now close the public hearing, bring it back to the board table.
Madam Chair, I'll move approval.
Okay, so motion to approve an on-off sale liquor license application for the new ownership of Kaninsky's Grill and Bar, pending state approval, and authorize the auditor, treasurer, and chairperson to sign and execute said license.
I'll second.
Okay, motion made by Commissioner Schmeezing, seconded by Commissioner Phobie. Any further discussion? Do I need to include the first one too about the public hearing? Or has that already been done?
This is the public hearing for
Okay,
that.
so,
We did
all
the
right,
notice
so
and
we-
stuff
okay,
prior. Yep.
Perfect. All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. That motion carries.
Thank you. We will notify the
Thank you.
pending owners.
All right. Item number 5. At this time, we will have our open forum. Is there anybody signed up to address the board at open forum, Keisha?
There is nobody signed up, Madam Chair.
All right. Okay. Okay, moving on then to our regular agenda. First item on the agenda is to consider the approval of the final standard plat for Carlson Farms Ziggler Custom Homes Incorporated.
Good morning,
Morning, Lynn.
Commissioners. These are the items from the August Planning Commission. Carlson Farms, as you stated, Ziegler Custom Home, requesting final plat approval. This is a 9-lot plat. It's in Section 13 of Baldwin Township on 80 acres in the General Rural District. Planning Commission recommended approval with the 6 conditions listed.
All right, then, I would be looking for that motion to approve a requested residential final standard plat for Carlson Farms consisting of 9 lots with the following 6 conditions as recommended by the Planning Commission and listed below in the background justification.
I'll move approval.
Motion made by Commissioner Phobie, seconded by Commissioner Brandt. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. That motion carries.
And the next item is Cardinal Enterprises. It's the Minnesota Conference Association of the Seventh-day Advent, or the property owners. They're requesting a conditional use permit for a drive-in retail service use to operate a pet grooming, dog daycare, boarding business. This is located in Section 35 in Big Lake Township on 3.34 acres in the special use zoning district and within the special river district of the Mississippi River. This is the supper club that's right across from Monticello on State Highway 25, right on the river. Planning Commission recommended approval with the 10 conditions listed and the findings of fact that are in your packet.
All right. Any questions for Lynn?
Madam Chair, I'll move approval as conditioned.
All right. Motion made by Commissioner Schmeezing to approve a requested residential final plat standard, use permit for a CUP application by Cardinal Enterprises LLC for a drive-in retail service used to operate a pet grooming, daycare, and boarding business. Seconded by Commissioner Brandt. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Moving on to consider amending the zoning ordinance from the general development regulations, parking and loading regulation proposal. Lynn.
So as you can see in your packet, staff had presented this issue to the county board on June 1st. Public hearing had been held on June 17th. The item was brought to the board again on July 15th, and it was recommended at that time by the Planning Commission. County Board remanded the item for additional language revision and a second public hearing, which was held in August at the Planning Commission. On August 19th at the Planning Commission, they voted to recommend not amending the current ordinance. Should the County Board wish to accept the Planning Advisory Commission's recommendation, which is to not change the current ordinance, then no further action would be needed. If the board wished to consider the proposed amendments to the ordinance, the staff report with the updated language revisions is attached.
All right. What is the board's wishes on this topic? I know that I still get contacted. I did go out and visit Big Lake Township because it is a large resident group that is concerned about this. And I'm not quite sure where we want to go as a board. I did receive an email that basically, you know, there's 2 sides to everything, and how can we figure out a way to achieve a result that isn't going to be overly burdensome to everybody.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
when this came before us the first time, I was prepared to support the Planning Commission's recommendation. And I find myself in the same place today. I know that this has been extremely controversial. There's been a ton of information that has been shared. Some has been accurate, some has been inaccurate. I think the zoning department has done a great job of doing what they can with this at this point. But I think now is not the time. I think that people are in a little bit of coming out of a pandemic, and their sensitivity to government interventions and that sort of thing is pretty high right now. I would suggest that we follow the Planning Commission's recommendations and take this up again at sometime in the future, and I'm not going to say when, but that would be what I would like to see us do.
Okay, Commissioner Phobie?
Thanks, Chair. I concur with Commissioner Schmeezing. I really appreciate the job that the staff and all the time the staff has put into this. I want to recognize that. Our county attorney's office, planning and zoning, administration, countless hours has been put into that. We asked for this as a board. The county attorney's office is needing something to use for kind of the bad apples, so to speak. It's balancing supporting people's property rights by also supporting people's property values. You know, everyone wants their property value to be maintained. And so it's finding that sweet spot. And I think similar, the timing doesn't seem right for this right now. And I would, I know we need to continue working on this because we haven't found the answer yet. Not exactly sure what that is, but really want our staff to know that we so value the time that you put in, and we're not done with this, and we support you, but the timing, we need to move this to a different time, so.
All right. Commissioner Brandt, any thoughts?
Well, I would agree that this has been a lot of hard work, and our staff has really just done a great job at proposing changes. I do know that we have a lot of people who are not supportive in the community of changes at this time. And we have certainly heard from them at the Planning Commission discussion that we had. I would agree that tabling it for a while would be probably the best step at this point to do.
Thank you for those comments. And I agree that, that we need to continue to look for something that's going to help the ones that are dealing with, as Commissioner Phobie said, the bad apples, but knowing too that we have to, I was asked by someone, can each individual township create something that the county then would have that ordinance that they would be able to look at, because it seems to be a lot of the townships are not the same, and they're not made up in the same dynamics. So maybe that's an opportunity to explore that could be done at the township level then to address the concerns that those particular townships would be dealing with. So I would like to see if that could be a thought, but I do agree with what everybody else is saying, that for us to try to do this at this level across all the townships is going to be very challenging. Yes, Commissioner Phobie.
If I made a few more comments, I really appreciate our township partners that gave us specific suggestions, that came in and weighed and really spent some time wrestling with this. We had a few townships that provided written comment. That's helpful. I don't want to get on a soapbox here, but I think there was some misinformation spread quickly, and social media has a way of doing that, and that's not helpful. And that didn't serve us well. So I would ask our partners, whether you're in townships or other offices or staff. I know our staff wasn't spreading misinformation, but to be helpful in this in the future and work towards spreading clear misinformation, because there was a lot of that out there. So, little soapbox rant there.
Yep, I agree.
But
Yeah,
hoping if anyone's watching, we're trying to do what's best
Yes.
for our residents. That's what we do. We don't lay awake at night and think, how can we make life miserable? How can we get involved where we don't need to? We work hard at that, and our staff probably works even harder. And the misinformation that spread through some of our partners was really unfortunate.
Yes, yes, Commissioner
Madam
Spencer.
Chair, I have to agree with that completely. I've been around too long, according to most people. But, you know, we weren't faced with this. We would have moved through this process. We would have talked about it. We probably would have made the changes, and the people that are really upset would have never been impacted. We're trying to impact a few bad actors, and that's where we're at here. But I think that's what we're learning, and that's what we're learning as a board at this level of government now. We are going to be impacted. This is a soapbox. We are going to be impacted by information that spreads so quickly, and when it's wrong, it cannot be reeled back in, and I think that's a little bit what happened here.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so that being said, then, do you have enough direction? Do we need to vote to table this, or to?
Believe so. I think you just leave it
just not
alone
gonna
and we
act
could
on
move
it.
on to the next item
Okay.
if you'd like.
All right, okay. Thank you very much, and like everybody said, we still have to find a way. These issues we don't dream these issues up, they come to us for a solution. And that's kind of where we are put at. So we will see what we can continue to work at for some of the people that have those issues around them. All right, moving on. Consider comment letter to the Minnesota PUC regarding the proposed Excel Sherco Solar Project. Lynn.
So what you have before you is a letter that was put together by staff. The PUC is taking comments on the Excel project. They're doing an environmental assessment currently. And so I had worked with Bruce up in the administration office to come up with some items that we thought needed to be addressed through that process. So you have the letter before you as to whether or not you have any comments or additional information you want added before we send that.
Any thoughts? Yes,
Madam
Commissioner.
Chair, I'm just on the second page. I'm looking at item 1. Now, we're referring to Becker Township does its own planning and zoning. The proposed solar farm is in close proximity to Big Lake Township, but not in Big Lake Township, is it?
It
So,
is
I mean,
not.
I'm curious why we found the need to have that reference in there.
I think that we have that reference in there because there's portions of the eastern portion in Becker Township that are adjacent to Highway 10, which we don't allow them in Big Lake Township. And I believe Becker Township has some concerns in the city of Becker with the proximity of it next to Highway 10. And so we're showing there that the county doesn't allow it that close. And so that was being included in the comment for them to address that.
Okay?
Yeah, I think that was more to protect those commercial.
Corridors and the
Corridors.
railroad, yep.
Yep.
Okay, that answers my question.
Okay. Any other comments, questions addressing the PUC letter? I see none. Thank you for putting together a good letter. I think it's very much states where we're at on the thought process, and all your hard work pulling that together. So with that being said, then, looking for a motion then to approve and authorize the board chair to sign the comment letter to the Minnesota PUC regarding the proposed XL Sherco Solar Project.
I'll move approval.
Motion made by Commissioner Phobie and seconded by Commissioner Brandt. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. That motion carries.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Lynn. Next on the agenda, consider and approve the 2021 Solid Waste Management Plan. Dave, you don't look like Gabby.
No, I don't.
Okay,
She's got another scheduling conflict.
okay.
So she'll be meeting with some people, and she needs to get ready for a meeting this morning, so I'm,
You're her fill-in. You're the
yes, I am.
placeholder. Okay, got
Yes.
it.
So, but I do want to say that she's done an extraordinary job in drafting this solid waste management plan. This was the first plan, one of the first plans under a new revamped process that the MPCA is rolling out for counties to come under. And so we were a little bit of a canary, you know, so there's a lot of back and forth with staff from the PCA. She, yeah, I can't say how good of a job she did in putting that plan together in a timely manner. It went through public comment period. No comments were received. So at this point, I'm looking for a motion to approve the resolution that you have attached. And your RBA says adopt, but we're not adopting, we're submitting it to the MPCA commissioner.
Make a motion to submit.
All right.
I'll second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Smeezing
You get
and a
paid by
sec-
the pound for this?
and a second from Commissioner Phobie to approve the county board resolution and to submit the 2021 solid waste management plan to the PUC. Any further discussion?
I'd just like to add, you know, this seems like such mundane stuff. It's a killer to get through it. It is so important to this county, us
Yes.
being, having the solid waste sites here and having those things here. And I'm just thankful for you and for Gabby and your departments to be willing to plow through it, because it is hard work, so I do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Totally concur.
Great.
All right, any further comments? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Thank you, Dave.
All right.
Moving on to consider an increase in the SSTS low-interest loan program and the budget from 500,000 to 750,000. Dave?
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board. This year, it's exceeded our expectations as far as how many loans we would be receiving and processing. You know, I was here earlier to amend the ordinance, and I said we're getting a lot of loan applications in. That doesn't look like it's going to slow down. And, you know, if we have a very nice fall, you know, which I hope we do, we deserve a good fall. Yeah, we can see systems put in all the way through December until the ground freezes up hard. So we're sitting at over $400,000 right now. I don't want to see us cut short. So that's why I'm asking to amend the budget to allow up to $750,000 in loans.
All right, I would be looking for that motion.
I so move.
Motion made by Commissioner Brandt,
I'll second.
seconded by Commissioner Smeezing. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. That motion carries.
Right.
All right, moving on to
Thank you.
well, thank you, Dave. Moving on to the acceptance of the Public Health COVID-19 Workforce Development Grant. Nicole, good morning.
Good morning. So you received an RBA requesting us to explore adding a position in public health from a public health workforce grant available through the Department of Health. Right now, we have it looking like a 30-hour-a-week position, salary and benefits included, equipment to start up also included in this grant. The grant is a short-term grant, so starting in July of this year, and it goes through June of 2023. So noting that, we have explored other means to keep it sustainable, and we do have an increase in our local public health grant that was also effective this July, and that will be ongoing going forward for almost an additional $59,000, and we would allocate that to this position once the COVID funds run out. We also note that there would still be a gap, and we have additional funds from our CNTC grants and our SHIP grants that often aren't allocated, or we can repurpose some of those FTE hours and salary to this role.
Madam Chair, was this one of the positions we talked about here a couple months ago with the,
No, it was
No.
not.
so this is a new grant that,
New grant.
Any further questions for Nicole?
I have a few items to just, short term, this would certainly focus on COVID. But as we would work into having COVID a little more stable and kind of our core team addressing what we needed for COVID, we would move it into larger public health division planning things. So really looking at supporting the supervisors and myself in data management, quality improvement, evaluation reporting, and researching funding opportunities. And then just the last part, the supervision for some logistics could be under the CHS administrator. We would work closely with the HHS planner. Certainly the data and information would support performance management and fiscal responsibility and effectiveness. And then also hopefully set us up for accreditation in the future should we want to pursue that. This is only one part of the workforce grant, though. We have 7 other activities that we've also got funding for. 4 of those activities are around DEI, so diversity, inclusion, and equity, as well as some fiscal projects and IT projects.
Amanda?
I just wanted to say one thing in regards to Commissioner Schmeezing's comment. There's a lot of money floating around, and we all know that it's temporary money, and so sustainability is very much on my horizon, especially because we keep coming back, hey, temporary money, can we have more, can we have more, can we have more? And so I was a little meh on this request at first. Public health is fueled by grants, and we historically have been extremely underspent in some of our grants. So child and teen checkup coming up and SHIP, because we've been reallocating so many of those dollars toward COVID. And then also we did get a I won't even say permanent, because nothing's permanent in the world at the legislature, but an increase in our local public health grant. And so that more than makes up for this in terms of that long-term sustainability. So in addition to that increase in the local public health grant, that will go on until the legislature decides it doesn't anymore. And that's a fairly stable pot of money. The underspending will be able to help with data reporting, grant evaluation, tracking. So hopefully we'll be able to spend more in those historically underspent grants.
Madam Chair, I just, and I'm fine with this. I'm going to vote to approve it, but I get very concerned. And just using your own words, there's a lot of money floating around right now. And how much money is going to be floating around June 30th, 2023? So and I won't be here to worry about it, but someone else will. And I want to make sure that we are considering that. And in the future, when we do these, I don't know how they're going to look at them, but I hope that the future board understands how these positions came to be, how they were funded, and when they're making decisions that might end up on the levy of citizens of Sherburne County, that's understood what we've done and where we're going. So
Right.
with that rant, I'll make the motion.
Motion made by Commissioner Schmeezing,
I'll second.
seconded by Commissioner Phobie. Any further discussion?
Just a little comment.
Commissioner Phobie.
Thanks, Chair. Yes, just any way you can help us understand going forth, and there's a lot of money out there and a lot going on. So in the future, if there's any way we can come back with some stories or reports on how this money has impacted people differently, or your department or whatever, that would be great
In people's lives.
in people's lives.
We're very fortunate where we have Dan Weber here too, and I'm already envisioning a spreadsheet in terms of what ones that we know will manage through attrition, which ones will be picked up by different grants, and which ones we're hoping for decreases in certain areas. So I'm thinking about the adult mental health and children's mental health. Here are the increases, and then can we show the decreases? So then, to your point, Commissioner, we'll be able to understand better what's levy, what's grant, and what needs to be phased out and when.
That's very important. Thank you.
Any further comments? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Thank you. All right, now moving on to receive the Health and Human Service Director's update. Amanda. Thank you, Nicole.
Morning again. Well, my first note in here is things are moving and we're coming at you with a few requests as of lately. So I just felt like to update you a little bit on those requests and some different things that are going on, especially kind of at the tail end of COVID. So you'll know that the housing specialist, we had that halftime grant, halftime Arpa request for a housing specialist. Lori Irwin is coming to us from the Salvation Army up in Benton County, or kind of the crux of the 3-county area. She starts next Monday, so we're very excited to have her and to have that dedicated housing person. We are interviewing actually today for that high system utilizer social worker, similar to that community action team up in Stearns, and so excited to have that person on board to work with our frequent users of very expensive systems. And then, not a request, but we are actually repurposing staff time. So we're taking one position in the agency and reallocating it to a case aid position that will help essentially keep people in healthcare and other programs so they're not drawing down levy dollars. So getting people on medical assistance so the detox cost doesn't come to our county budget. Also getting signatures and obtaining verifications to keep people on healthcare, especially at that point where they'll need hospitalization or if they're on waivers, and so again, decreasing county costs. So we're pretty excited, and we're kind of calling this our point team, prevention, outreach, and integration. And so we envision we're not creating a new unit, we're not creating a new supervisor. These people are going to live within existing units, but thinking that they're going to case manage some folks who are not getting served, and again, living in crisis kind of in perpetuity, to hopefully help them live better lives and decrease county costs. Also, the jail social worker positions, those are currently at Baker Tilly, hopefully posting those by the end of the month. We think that that's going to be a higher grade than our case management social workers because it will be more of that clinical level. And then lastly, Jody Hiring, is taking a new position within the Health and Human Services Agency to our planner. And so we had been doing interviews, quite an extensive interview process. And so just had an offer extended and accepted on Friday. So hopefully you'll be meeting our new Child and Family Social Service Manager shortly. This person comes with over 20 years experience, most notably in Hennepin and Ramsey County. So we're pretty excited about that. Just a few legislative things that are kind of coming to a head or waivers ending. Family First Prevention Services Act. This was federal legislation that was passed in 2018. That takes effect October 1st. Really moves that needle from placement to prevention, which everybody, again, would kind of agree with. But at the same time, it takes those federal 4E dollars that are helping fund our out-of-home placements into prevention services. And the prevention services, the evidence-based prevention services just isn't built yet. And so kind of awaiting anxiously to see what impact that will have on our budget. But Jody sits on a variety of those statewide groups, and so we are getting the information and making necessary adjustments to that. June 2021, annual and 6-month cash and SNAP assistance renewals resumed. So we are definitely feeling the pinch in our income maintenance programs. The waivers are ending and normal processing begins. So again, when Commissioner Schmeezing uses the analogy of the bulge, we're in it right now with our income maintenance programs. And we also know that healthcare assistance was averaging about 180 new applications, with also federal regulations saying we're not supposed to turn anybody away. So people who are in healthcare are staying on healthcare. Those new applications are starting to level off just as we're entering a new open enrollment season beginning November 1st. And so really we'll be experiencing probably some overtime, and again, we'll really be in the thick of things pretty quick with our healthcare programs. Good news, our bus is being used. We're still doing it 2 times a month. Income maintenance staff now have a line waiting for them when they pull up. And so really we're tracking what the needs are, who's coming, what programs they're getting connected to. But all in all, that bus has been a success, and we'll kind of see how that coalesces and evolves as we move forward. And then lastly, with COVID, Nicole sent you an update on Friday, but we were all familiar a year ago with that 14-day average number. So you remember at the beginning of last school year in terms of if folks were going to be in an in-person, hybrid, or distance learning model, they were using a 14-day average. Sherburne County as a whole was under 20, so most of our elementary kids were hybrid, and then distance learning was in person, or I'm sorry, secondary was high, elementary was in person. Well, now we're at 40, and so again, to just refresh, 50 meant you were in distance learning last year. None of those same numbers exist, but it's just a good indication of where we are currently to where we were last year. And so we are doing our due diligence, connecting with those superintendents, letting them know what we're seeing, and then also we continue to do back to school vaccination events, as well as our Tuesday clinic numbers have really increased. So, we've absorbed those regular ongoing vaccination clinics into our Tuesday vaccination clinics, and it's busy up there on Tuesdays, which is a good thing. So with that, those were my updates, and just wondering if anybody had any questions.
Any questions for Amanda?
Can I tell you my favorite part?
Yes.
When she opened with, as we reach the tail end of COVID. Those words are recorded.
It's almost like in two phases, the tail end of the first COVID, and then we don't know with the second
I
COVID.
should have never said anything,
Never-
because
yep.
now you're qualifying. Tail end of COVID is what I heard. So
That's what
all.
he's gonna stick
From
with.
my lips to God's ears, right?
Commissioner Colby.
Just curious, where does our medical van pull in?
Sure. Cash-wise East
Okay.
and Talahi Elementary.
Got it.
So, and you'll have to excuse me, I don't know which is on the first, which is on the second. So it's the second and fourth Wednesday of every month.
Okay, great.
Good, both good places to reach people that
Yes.
want to walk up and get services.
Yep.
So,
And we also continue to do special events. So when Promise Neighborhood has special events, when there's other special, CARE has had special events, our buses at those as well.
Yep. And what's nice is it can be used in all areas of the county. So that's, I think, was a real good decision to purchase that mobile health van or bus. All right. Any further comments? All right, Amanda, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for that update. Moving on then to consider the Economic Development Authority's recommendation to guide comprehensive land use plan mapping change.
Good morning,
Dan,
Commissioners.
good morning.
The City of Elk River is currently reviewing their comprehensive land use plan with a public hearing scheduled for September 20th. And at our last county EDA meeting, the committee reviewed the potential uses for the 33-acre site just south of the Government Center. We have had a number of interested parties over the years, a number of nibbles, but obviously it still sits vacant. And a recent 2020 countywide housing study showed that there's demand for both owner-occupied and rental properties. So the county EDA had a discussion, and they were recommending to guide the land use for the property to mixed use, which would grant us greater flexibility. I do want to point out that if it's a residential use on that lot, there is a declaration agreement with the current data center that's back there that they would have some say over the 250 feet just to the east of their property line. So if it would go residential, we would lose from some development opportunities on those probably 6 acres or so. So I just wanted to point that out. And if the board is in agreement, staff would be looking for a motion to guide the land use for this parcel to mixed use moving forward. The city has been wonderful to work with. I think if we did get an industrial property that wanted that property, that they would certainly be willing to listen. And over the years, have asked for a number of zoning changes, and they've always been willing to listen and be very flexible with us.
All right. Any questions for Dan?
Madam Chair, this adjoins this property. And I know that it was, they were hoping at one point there was a lot of work done in terms of conceivably a strip mall data sites or, something like that. Nothing has happened there, and so I understand that. I just wonder, how anxious are we to see that property? Who owns it?
The county HRA owns it.
And its proximity to this facility is really good for anything that could go on here. I just wonder if we are if we should be considering our own interest as this moves forward a little bit more than we are. If we get rid of the 33 acres or let it go and it all becomes residential, then pretty soon we're quite a bit tighter here too. So I don't, and I don't know just where we're at with this, but I think that we should be thinking about that.
To that point, we are keeping 6 acres of the 33 acres for our use, so we are marketing only 27 of the 33. So there is some expansion opportunities still for the county government center, but it's an outlot, so there's a lot of flexibility with how that can be divided at this time.
Well, I wonder if maybe we should be taking a look at what we may want in the future and try to secure that as best we can for this government center and this facility at this.
And I do concur with what Felix is expressing his concerns on. You never know what the future is going to bring, and anytime you let go of property that you currently have that's going to allow that expansion, we don't want to be too short-sighted. This county's going to continue to grow, and having the land now is always, I think, a good move.
And I'm sure if I can add to that, I mean, it has been for sale too. So, I mean, we haven't, because we haven't sold it, and the use of it really is not probably that big a deal. But, I think we should, before we do anything, I think we should take a look and see how much of that do we think we may need for future needs for us and come up with something that makes sense there. There was other issues with access, with where the our waste lines and that came across here, sewer and water. And I don't recall, did we resolve them, or are we still, is there still some access that's considered for across there?
There still is access on the northern portion of the property that would be in the 6 acres that we're maintaining.
Okay, that we
Well,
would.
it wouldn't affect the southern 27 acres.
Okay, and were we looking at changing our routes here in terms of what's leaving here now? I mean, there was, they were talking about some redundancy and some of those things. Have we
It was
properly?
explored and the cost was pretty prohibitive, so.
Okay. Well, now might be a time for us to be thinking about those costs, and if there are people that are looking at doing something with some of that property, maybe we can secure what we need in terms of access to that sewer and water on the other side of the site. I don't know enough about that.
And the timing that this was brought up was just because the comp plan's scheduled for a public hearing on the 20th. So if we wanted to have a change in land use, now would be the time to discuss it.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think the thought too.
And that's
is-
all we're talking about. I'm sorry.
Yes, no, go ahead.
That's all we're talking about here is a change to the comp plan.
Right.
I'm ahead of myself. I know that, but I
It's a good
think
discussion.
these are things that we need to have percolating in our minds a little bit, so.
And Commissioner Smeezy makes a good point. We changed the land use to be residential, and we might not be getting any offers on what it is currently, but I've got a feeling we would definitely be getting offers if it goes to residential. It'll probably be snapped up in a heartbeat, so we need to really make sure we're strategically thinking this move. And I think that, yes, Commissioner Phobie?
So Chair, this is coming from our EDAs, our
Right.
newly formed,
Correct.
correct? So I'm going to trust they've wrestled with it a bit.
We had about a 20-minute discussion on it. I don't know if you want to add anything, Commissioner Danielowski?
Yeah, it was basically, it was brought forward because of, Commissioner Dolan brought it forward because of working with Elk River and the update of their comprehensive plan, and some concerns that knowing how much housing is such a need, that maybe this would be better used than what it was currently being zoned for. So that discussion, but I don't think we got into the depths of what Commissioner Smeezing's comments are. We didn't get into the depths of that, but I think he makes valid points.
And how long has this been on the market?
Since 2015.
Okay, 15.
And it was originally marketed as a data center. Obviously, the data center market's changing a little bit. They're looking for larger properties now, as you saw in Becker. So we did transition it to more of an industrial potential, and we are getting some, like I said, nibbles on it, but nothing's come to fruition yet.
And one follow-up, and I should know this, but help me out, when it says this, just the motion, approve the county EDA's recommendation to guide the land use. So what does that mean?
We would make a request to the Elk River Planning Commission for mixed use going forward, as opposed to or planned use development right now. Business park, I'm sorry, it's currently business park.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Spacey, did you have a comment?
Tim and you are the EDA. I'd almost like to hear from Tim as well on this, but.
Do you want to, I mean, I don't think, is there a rush on this,
Sure.
Dan?
Well, the public hearing for approval is the 20th. That's why there was a little bit of a
Okay,
rush.
and our
on the
meeting, our
agenda
next
today.
meeting is the 21st.
21st,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, we still are the landowners.
Yeah.
Yes. Bruce?
Oh, I didn't mean to interrupt you. When you're done, I can throw in.
Well, I was gonna say, we still are the landowners.
Yep.
And so we would still have great input on when and if we would sell this. So at the moment, it's just a change of use, but we can then further explore, to Commissioner Smeezing's concerns, making sure that we're not being short-sighted and sell something off that future county boards will regret.
So if, Madam Chair, just a hypothetical, so we change the map, and all of a sudden, that offer comes in for industrial. What do we?
We would go to the city of Elk River and request to change it back to the business park designation, and they've been very flexible in the past.
And I think that'd be pretty important that gets entered into the record of the discussion as we go through it with them, so.
Bruce?
Just a couple of thoughts. I think you laid out correctly if the board's comfortable, to move with a guiding recommendation. However, in addition to making the final decision as the landowner about any sale, we do have a couple other items in the work that'll help you, build your framework around this. One is Andrew is looking at facilities needs. Remember, that started with Zimmerman and it's gotten bigger, so he'll have an update for you soon, I think next meeting. And then the second thing is Commissioner Dolan, as you know, at your joint meeting with Elk River, is sitting on a panel with the city of Elk River to look at all county properties in the city. So those two kind of larger discussions will come and help populate your information as we move forward.
Okay. So then if we feel comfortable then to make that motion to approve the recommendation from EDA to guide the land use for parcel 758440020 via the newly proposed Elk River Comp Plan to mixed use. Anybody willing to make that motion?
I'll make that motion. How will we capture this discussion as part of it?
We will, I guess, put it in the minutes, what was discussed, and a summary of the discussion and the flexibility that we're requesting.
I guess I'm okay with it.
I think it's vitally important, though, that we really delve into what Andrew is doing and making sure that we understand and make sure we don't short ourselves going into the future. That I think is abundantly clear is what this board's concern is. So nothing will happen until we're able to have that answer. All right, there's a motion by Commissioner Smeezing,
I'll second.
seconded by Commissioner Phobie. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. That motion carries. So now we'll be looking for an update on what our needs are for our building going forward. All right, thank you. Moving on then to consider the American Rescue Plan update and recommended approvals and expenditures. Dan?
This week, we have a few weekly expenses that were under the $50,000 threshold, a total of $28,556.33, and the list was attached in the packet.
All right, then looking for a motion then to approve those requests under 50,000, totaling 28,556.33.
I so move.
Motion made by Commissioner Brandt,
I'll second.
seconded by Commissioner Phobie. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. That motion carries.
The next request is from Parks, and it's for trail and grooming equipment. That was over $50,000, so we do need a slide brought up for that one. want to come up, Gina?
Good morning, Jean.
Good
How are
morning,
you?
Chair Danielowski and Commissioners. Parks has submitted a request for ARPA funding for trail grooming equipment. And you may recall, we have pursued grant funding 2 years in a row and been denied 2 years in a row. So we are seeking funding through ARPA to purchase this trail grooming equipment package. It's 6 pieces of equipment that would enable us to do year-round maintenance on our new bituminous trail surfaces on the Great Northern and in Bridgeview Park. And that maintenance is going to ensure that we maintain the accessibility standard and keep our trails safe and prolong their life. We'll be able to sweep sand and sediment, blow debris, plow, groom, and provide for winter skiing and hiking. So the 6 pieces are a trailer, a broom, a debris blower, a tractor, a set of tracks, and a cross-country ski groomer. So the total package cost is $143,000 and $143,100.
All right. I might have missed it when you said that. How many parks will these 6 pieces of equipment service?
All of our county parks and the
All
Great
of them.
Northern Trail.
Okay, so then they'll motivate around in their use.
Yep, and that's why the trailer is
Great,
included,
okay.
correct.
Any other questions?
The pictures that I'm looking at are not the actual pictures of what we're buying, are they?
They're the models, but they're not the actual.
I mean, I'm just looking at that trailer. What do we got that at? Where was it?
Yeah, that's not the actual trailer.
Okay.
That's just a idea.
I should have known Gina would have to have a tractor sooner or later.
All right, any further questions? If not, I'd be looking for a motion then to approve this purchase of the trail grooming equipment for our parks.
I so move.
Motion made by Commissioner Brandt,
I'll second.
seconded by Commissioner Smeezing. All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Thank you. You'll have to invite us all when they come in so we can all take a look at this stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I suppose it's all on back order.
Well, you've got the grant hasn't been approved yet, has it? Or do we have the money? No.
No, this was for the ARPA request to be able to purchase that.
Okay, so ARPA. that'll
ARPA's
be
buying
approved then.
this.
Correct.
So we're going a different route.
Yeah, but everything is a year and a half out, so.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
There'll be no snow this winter anyhow, so.
I hope you're right there, Felix. I'm gonna hold you to that one.
Really cold.
All right, Dan.
The next request is for payroll costs. As you remember with CARES, some of our staff costs are reimbursed that are spent primarily dedicated to dealing with the pandemic. So this includes maintenance. We still have someone spending most of their time going around cleaning, and then some of the admin costs. Obviously with the ARPA time that I've been spending, some of that's reimbursed as well. So looking for a reimbursement of $60,164.34 for payroll costs.
I'll move approval.
Motion by Commissioner Phobie,
I'll second.
seconded by Commissioner Brandt. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. That motion carries.
Next, looking to approve the first 8 grants through our business relief program. There are 7 that qualified, and there is 1 that did not meet the minimum wage qualification. That's Campbell Flair out of Big Lake. They were a food truck, and they moved into a building in Big Lake, and they're slightly under the living wage requirement that we have in our policy, but staff is still recommending approval with the board. You know, we would have to get that approved by the board, obviously, but obviously they're a new business getting started. We'd really like to help them out any way we can. So with that, looking for approval of all 8 that are in your packet for a total of $119,841.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I was
Commissioner Smeezing.
distracted and maybe you explain the Campbell Flair.
Yeah, we have a living wage requirement in our program. They have to make $15.91 an hour, I think, is the minimum living wage calculation. And they're slightly under that at Campbell Flora. It's more of a fast food type restaurant. But they are within about a year and a half of getting up and running. Obviously, COVID hit right during their beginning stages. So we would need approval from the board to approve this grant. They met all the other qualifications. They just were under that living wage qualification. So Tim, do we need to add any special language to the motion?
I'd be looking then for a motion to approve that request for the 8 businesses for the $119,841.
I'll move approval.
Motion made by Commissioner Phobie,
I'll second.
seconded by Commissioner Brandt. Any further discussion? I know that you are correct, Dan, when you say for this particular business, they opened just as COVID was coming. And they made it and really worked hard as a family-owned business and have struggled to make it through what COVID has dealt them. And so I think this little bit of help for them to continue that process, I think is helpful because they are a very hardworking family-owned business. So that being said, I would then, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. That motion carries.
Just a quick review of the grant program. We did have 44 applications. 24 have already been approved. 14 were denied for various reasons, and then 6 were still waiting for additional info. The majority of the reasons for denial were they didn't meet that 20% threshold of lost revenue.
Okay.
Some actually made more in 2021 than they did in 2019, and some were with between that 10 to 20%. So maybe down the line, it's something we take a look at, is reducing that 20. But for now, I think we hit the businesses that really needed it.
That being said, Dan, where are we at then for what we just approved and what's left in?
The 24 approvals would equate to about 350,000.
Okay,
And we dedicated 500,000 to this program. Like I said, we do still have 6 outstanding that could be awarded 20,000 each, so we'd be pretty close to that 500,000 that was originally allocated, but we will be slightly under it.
all right, perfect.
So I'll come back in 2 weeks with an update once I get that additional information.
Commissioner Phobie.
And another question, and maybe I've missed this, and I apologize if I have, but nonprofits?
So that's my next bullet point.
Okay,
Great timing. We are scheduled to have a nonprofit discussion on 9/21. We'll have it as part of the workshop agenda.
okay.
And then Promise Neighborhood will also be here that day to give us a little more update on their project as well. So great timing of that question.
Yeah, no, and
Some of that for me comes from entities that I sit on, that counties have already given them money, and just wondering if those entities somehow can be part of our discussion.
Absolutely.
yep, and I've gotten some of those same questions. Is there anything coming that can help us continue to get through this?
Yeah, and and this can be part of our discussion, but.
It was originally scheduled for today. Promise Neighborhood couldn't make it, so we decided to loop them together into the same discussion.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anything else on Dan?
Not on that item.
No, we're good, okay. All right, at this time then, we will be recessing our regular meeting to open our Regional Rail Authority meeting. And I would be looking for an approval of the Regional Rail Authority agenda.
So moved?
Motion made by Commissioner Phobie,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Brandt. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign, and that motion carries. Moving on to reviewing and approve the Regional Rail Authority meeting minutes of August 7th, 2021.
I so move.
Motion made by Commissioner Brandt,
I'll second.
seconded by Commissioner Phobie. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. That motion carries. And our item of business, consider the resolution 090721-RRA-52, setting the preliminary levy for the 2022 Regional Rail Authority.
Staff is recommending a 0 levy for the Regional Rail
And-
Authority.
Commissioner Smeezing usually likes to weigh in
Move
right
approval.
now. Motion made by Commissioner Smeezing,
I'll second.
seconded by Commissioner Brandt. Any further discussion?
Well, one question, how much are we putting in from our sales tax revenue?
I can certainly get you those numbers. It's in that range of 1.3, 1.4, but with
Okay.
with the changes with CARES, COVID, and whatnot, it's significant less. I think
Okay.
it's 600 to 700,000.
Be helpful if we kind of kept track of that too. It's not levy money, but it is taxpayer money. So you know, it's easy for me to get excited and push a zero levy, but, you know, there's more to it than
Yes,
that.
it's coming from another.
There's more to it. It's coming
I
up.
do know operations went up 385,000 in their preliminary budget from what they had last year.
They did.
Yeah. Remember they cut it last year because
Yep.
of COVID, so now it's going back up.
Well, I don't know, have they increased frequency? Are they running more?
Numbers are up a little bit,
The numbers are
They
up
haven't added
but
any.
not
a
any
little
new
bit, but
routes.
you know, their operating costs shouldn't go up if they aren't operating more, so.
Right, because they're only 2 in the morning and 2 in the
I
evening.
guess that'd be nice to know what the schedule is
Yeah.
now too.
And when the plan is to increase, right, or increase more trips.
But we'll be having a workshop on
Yes.
all of this.
Yes.
Soon.
Yep, I think Andrew's, have you got it scheduled yet, the workshop? I know we're trying to get everybody nailed down.
All right, so we have a motion on the table by Commissioner Schmeezing, looking for that second. Oh, Barb seconded, sorry.
yeah.
Sorry, guys. Okay. No further discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Okay, that motion carries. So at this time, we will adjourn our Regional Rail Authority meeting and reconvene our regular meeting. And we will be consider and approve the resolution 090721 AD 2059, setting the 2022 preliminary levy for the Regional Rail Authority.
I'll move approval.
Motion made by Commissioner Phobie,
I'll second.
seconded by Commissioner Brandt. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Okay, moving on to our commissioner correspondence, committee reports, upcoming meetings, and future agenda items. Who is ready to go first?
I can go.
Barb? Thank you.
I just wanted to add, after our meeting on the 17th, I went to a Night to Unite that had been postponed for a week. It was in Elk River, so I was there at that meeting. And on the 18th, I attended the countywide school meeting in the morning, and then fair board meeting in the evening. And on the 19th, I went to Address Trauma, which was from 9 to 4. I think that was the one at Central Lutheran, yeah. And then in the evening, I listened to the Planning Commission meeting. And on the 23rd, Community Partners with the school district in the morning. And then I attended the Elk River City's comprehensive plan public forum in the evening. And then on the 30th, I listened in on the AMC virtual coffee meeting that they had with MCHEC. And next, that day, and then on the 1st, then I participated in interviews for lobbyists. And on the 2nd was Council on Aging meeting in the morning and CAMI meeting in the afternoon. And I think that's it.
All right, thank you. Bruce?
Commissioner Brandt, did you want to mention your thought about a letter at this time under
Yeah,
Commissioner
I-
correspondence?
Yeah, actually, I think Shaq had a meeting on Friday the 20th. I missed that one. And I've been on the Shaq committee for almost 5 years. And one of the things that has come forward at the legislature is that there's some discussion about Commissioner Malcolm being asked to step down from her position. And as a group, we're all writing letters to advocate for her remaining in her role. And I'm doing that also. And I just thought I'd mention it. So if anybody else wanted to individually write in support for her, that might be something you'd like to consider. She, just working with COVID, I feel has been very, very helpful and promoted really good options. And we've worked really hard with public health. And having her leave at this point, I think would be difficult for us to continue all the work we're doing.
So then anybody that would like to do that on their own would be more than welcome to send out a letter.
So,
All right. Anything else? Is that it?
oh, and then that letter I'm sending out is going to all of our local legislators.
Okay. Perfect. All right. Lisa, are you ready?
Sure. Following our last board meeting, I attended the luncheon that was put on to honor our public health employees and celebrate them and thank them. We had a safe schools meeting. Our county attorney's office did a great job at that. We had a tri-county solid waste meeting. I had a tri-cap meeting. ISD 728, Dr. Bittner had his community partners at the New Furniture and Things Arena, which is amazing to see if you ever get a chance. And just a side note, I know Central Minnesota Mental Health isn't part of my commissioner work, but I sit on their board, and Dr. Rick Lee has submitted his resignation, his retirement. So he's with us about 5 more months, I think, and so we are doing an executive director search. And then attended a simulcast meeting up at the Princeton Public Safety meeting with Deputy Kyle Breffel to discuss a purchase that they are trying to make. So, and that was it.
Thank you.
Dr. Lee has been with that organization for 5 years and has moved it forward 20.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's really been
Really
good.
done a magnificent job there. I appreciate that.
Hopefully you can find someone else that has that same.
Okay, I attended AMC Strategic Planning. Love that strategic planning. Attended the Tri-County Solid Waste meeting. It was fun to be in the room with a bunch of Stearns and Benton County Commissioners again. Enjoyed that a lot. Left the country the following week, was allowed to return. And that's all that I have.
All right, thank you. I'm glad they let you back in.
They did. Thought twice about it. But they did.
All right, on August 17th, I attended the appreciation lunch for public health care workers and also was happy to present them with the award on behalf of the board for their accomplishments in getting us through the COVID situation. And 19th, attended the EDA meeting. 23rd, I had my options board meeting. 25th, I did attend the township meeting for Big Lake to discuss the parking ordinance. 6th, Becker Highway 25 and 10 Senate bonding tour. The 30th, we did lobbying firm interviews and also September 1st. Finished up the lobbying firm interviews and also attended the 7W Long Range Transportation Plan meeting via Zoom. And I'd also like to invite everybody to Nystrom's Residential Treatment Center will be having their open house from 4 to 6 in Big Lake on September 14th. The address is 19580 Station Street Northwest. So I would invite everybody to come and visit them during that open house. I think it's a much needed treatment center for our county, so we look forward to seeing you there. And then I just have one final, I should have probably mentioned this back a ways, but I'm just curious, being as we seem to be getting more and more petitions as of late in regards to various things that are being discussed. And when a petition comes in that says 800 people signed it and you look through it and some of the addresses are in Chicago and some not even in the country, I'm just curious, can we define some process? I know that we're not a petition driven state, but this is how people take the opportunity to express their support for something, but how can we narrow this down to, you just don't accept 800 without verifying their residency or their,
Well, the way we do it now, Madam Chair, we actually don't accept them. They enter them, but
okay,
I don't know if we want to be setting guides and rules and trying to enforce them, because if we say how they got to do it, then it ends up being our responsibility to make sure they did it the way they were going, you know. I don't know. I mean, with me, when I get a petition, I take a look at it and,
Yeah.
okay, this is, you know.
but I'm just concerned when it hits our board packet in this extent that it's like we have recognized it when it's in the board packet. So I'm just curious.
Becomes
as-
part of the public comment.
And I'm okay with that, and I think it's also good for the public to see that some of those signatures came from Minneapolis and Chicago and other countries, and I did, talk to a number of people in my district saying, because they kept telling me about this great petition that was coming, or that I got, and I said, it is, I believe it's not worthy of our tax money to verify a petition. That's a lot of work.
It
If
is
we
a
had
lot of
to-
work,
If we had
yes.
staff members starting to verify petitions, which I don't think is important, but I did say it's hard to see a petition of 800 when probably 200 or more on there are
Right.
not even from Sherburne County. So,
And I guess that's my point, because it looks like all of these people have, and it makes it kind of an unbalanced representation, but I understand what you're saying in regards to the costs it would take. But,
and I think to make it public record is good for people to see that it wasn't, they aren't all from,
here in
Oh,
our county.
I wouldn't
Okay.
want us
It was
to
just
use-
I just
yeah.
wanted to make sure if this is gonna be something that's gonna be coming more and more, that we're good with how we're addressing it, so. All right. And that is it for me on commissioner correspondences. So at this time then, I would be looking to adjourn our regular meeting to open the closed session pursuant to Minnesota Statute 13D.05 subsection 3B to discuss litigation strategies.